Let's get right into it. Number 10. The vaping dopamine loop. You're not an addict. You just like the feeling. The problem is that feeling is a lie, and your brain is falling for it. Vaping is a new habit, but its effect on your brain is as old as addiction itself. Your brain has a little messenger chemical called dopamine, which is basically the hype man of your nervous system. Every time you do something your brain thinks is good for survival, like eating a tasty meal, having a nice hug, or seeing a pretty sunset, dopamine gets released, giving you a little good job feeling. This is how your brain learns to repeat behaviors. It's supposed to be a healthy feedback loop. But nicotine is like a hacker who found a shortcut. When you vape, nicotine floods your brain, releasing a massive amount of dopamine, way more than a hug or a sunset ever could. This isn't just a little boost, it's a fireworks show. Your brain, being the simple creature it is, thinks, whoa, this must be the best survival action ever. The problem is, it's not real. It's a chemical impersonation. After a while, your brain gets used to this constant flood of dopamine and starts to think it's the new normal. The receptors in your brain literally change, becoming less sensitive to dopamine. So when you're not vaping, your brain feels a massive dopamine deficit. It's not just a craving, it's a deep chemical depression. Suddenly, a nice sunset or a good meal doesn't give you the same pleasure anymore because your brain's dopamine receptors are all burnt out. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a leaky faucet after you've been using a fire hose. Basically, your brain is rewiring itself to believe that the only thing that matters is the next puff, and everything else is just a dull grey background. Number 9. The social media scroll. The internet is full of don't do this advice, but the endless scroll is a subtle brain killer that most people don't even think about. Your brain is a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs to be used correctly to stay strong. The problem is, scrolling is the mental equivalent of lifting a 1-pound dumbbell over and over again for 8 hours a day. It feels like you're doing something, but you're actually just wearing your brain down with zero benefit. When you're scrolling, your brain is getting a constant, tiny drip feed of novelty. A new cat video, a new meme, a new angry comment. This is another dopamine hit, a much smaller one than nicotine, but it's still a reward loop. The constant, rapid-fire switching of information keeps your brain in a state of low-level hyper-arousal, preventing you from ever fully focusing on one thing. It's like you're trying to read a book while 100 different people are whispering in your ear at the same time. This is why you can scroll for an hour and then not be able to remember a single thing you saw. You're not absorbing information, you're just grazing. This habit is actively training your brain to have an abysmal attention span. It's teaching you that true focus is hard and boring, and that the next shiny new thing is always just a swipe away. You're basically turning your brain into a goldfish with an iPhone. Number 8. The constant multitasking myth. You think you're a productivity ninja, a master of juggling emails, Slack messages, and that one report that's been open for 3 days. You believe you're getting more done by doing more things at once. The disturbing truth is, you're not multitasking. Your brain is physically incapable of it. What you're actually doing is called context switching, and it's a productivity killer. Your brain can only focus on one cognitive task at a time. So, when you're multitasking, you're really just making your brain slam the brakes and switch gears between tasks at a frantic pace. Every time you switch from writing an email to checking a text, you pay a mental price. It takes a few milliseconds for your brain to reorient itself, recall the context of the new task, and get back into a flow state. This sounds fast, but do it 100 times a day, and those milliseconds add up to hours of lost time and energy. It's like trying to run a marathon by sprinting 10 feet, stopping completely, and then sprinting another 10 feet in a different direction. You're exhausting yourself and getting nowhere fast. Studies show that this kind of constant switching actually lowers your IQ score temporarily. It increases stress, raises cortisol levels, and makes you more prone to mistakes. It's the mental equivalent of giving your brain a panic attack on repeat. So while you think you're being a high achiever, you're actually just frying your own circuits, making it harder to focus on anything in the future. Number 7. The just one more episode binge. Ah, the siren song of the binge watch. It's a perfectly normal, relaxing, and widely accepted habit. We've all been there. I'll just watch one more episode, which turns into the sun coming up, and you've somehow absorbed an entire season of a show about a guy who cooks meth in an RV. The problem isn't the show itself. The problem is what the habit does to your brain's reward system. Modern television shows and streaming services are engineered to be addictive. They're designed with cliffhangers and story arcs that release a steady trickle of dopamine, just enough to make you feel like you need to know what happens next. The algorithm is basically a digital drug dealer, giving you a new hit the moment the last one wears off. Binge watching can mess with your sleep cycle, which is one of the most critical factors for brain health. Your brain does its housekeeping while you sleep, clearing out toxins and consolidating memories. When you stay up all night to watch a show, you're basically telling your brain, "Hey, forget the cleaning, let's party." Over time, this chronic sleep deprivation impairs your ability to learn, focus, and make decisions. It's like you're willingly turning a 5-star hotel for your brain into a dilapidated motel. It's also a form of passive consumption. You're not actively engaging with the world or with other people. You're just sitting there, absorbing a story. While this is fine in moderation, making it a habit trains your brain to seek out passive entertainment rather than active engagement, making it harder to find joy in things that require effort, like a hobby or a conversation. Number 6. Chronic complaining. Ever feel like your life is a series of unfortunate events and you just can't catch a break? The disturbing truth might be that you're training your brain to see it that way. We all complain sometimes, and a little bit of venting can be a healthy way to release frustration. But when complaining becomes a chronic daily habit, it starts to rewire your brain in a deeply negative way. Think of your brain like a path in a field. The more you walk on it, the deeper the rut gets. When you constantly complain, you're building a neurological superhighway for negative thoughts. You're literally making it easier for your brain to fire off thoughts about what's wrong with your life. This isn't just a mood killer, it's a physiological process. Complaining releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which over time can damage the hippocampus, a critical part of your brain responsible for problem solving and memory. It's like you're acid washing the very part of your brain that you need to fix your problems. This is called learned helplessness, where you start to believe that you have no control over your life, and so you stop trying to change things. The worst part? It's contagious. Your brain has something called mirror neurons, which means you're literally wired to feel what other people are feeling. So when you're around a chronic complainer, you start to feel stressed and negative too. You're not just damaging your own brain, you're creating a toxic environment for everyone around you. You're basically training your brain to be a professional victim, and it's a job you can't get fired from. Number 5. The information diet. Remember when you used to get all your information from a newspaper or a few trusted TV channels? Now, you get it from a fire hose of sources, from 100 different websites, social media feeds, and random people's opinions. This is not a healthy diet for your brain. In fact, it's a mental junk food binge. The human brain evolved in an environment where information was scarce. Finding a new piece of information, like where to find food or what dangers to avoid, was a high-value event. Now we are drowning in information, much of it useless, sensational, or outright false. Our brains haven't caught up. This constant onslaught of news and digital noise is keeping your brain in a state of high alert, a perpetual fight-or-flight mode. It makes you feel like the world is constantly on fire, even when it isn't. This is why you can feel anxious and overwhelmed after just a few minutes of scrolling through headlines. The more sensational the information, the more your brain pays attention. This isn't because you're a bad person, it's because your brain is a drama queen. It prioritizes information that seems urgent or threatening. The problem is, this constant, high-alert state dulls your ability to discern what's actually important. You start to see everything as a 5-alarm fire. This can lead to what psychologists call information overload, which impairs your decision-making and makes it harder to remember anything important. You're basically training your brain to be an expert in everything and a master of nothing. It's like you're trying to learn a new language by reading every single word in the dictionary at the same time. Number 4, the I'll just use Google habit. Remembering things is a core part of what makes you, well, you. It's how you learn, how you build a narrative of your own life, and how you solve problems. But in a world where every fact is just a few keystrokes away, a lot of us have outsourced our memory to the internet. Need to know the capital of Madagascar? Don't remember the name of that actor in that one movie? It's easier to just Google it. This seems harmless, but it's a quiet form of cognitive atrophy. When you constantly rely on an external source for information, you're not giving your memory a workout. Your brain, being an incredibly efficient but also lazy organ, starts to see the internet as its primary storage unit. Why bother committing something to long-term memory when you know you can just look it up again later? This is called the Google effect, or digital amnesia. Your brain isn't retaining the information itself, it's retaining the path to the information. You're not learning, you're just bookmarking. The problem is that memory isn't just about storing facts, it's about connecting those facts, building complex neural networks, and creating new ideas. When you constantly delegate the simple task of remembering, you're not building those connections. You're not forging the mental links that would allow you to combine two different pieces of information to form a new thought. You're basically treating your brain like a glorified router when it's supposed to be a supercomputer. Number 3, the obsession with hustle culture. We live in a society that fetishizes being busy. The hustle is seen as a badge of honor, a sign that you're important and productive. The problem is, this obsession with constant work and no rest is actively harming your brain. Your brain is not a machine that can run at 100% capacity all the time. It needs breaks. It needs downtime. It needs to be bored. When you're constantly on, working, networking, responding to emails at 11 p.m., you're preventing your brain from entering a crucial state called the default mode network. This is the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a specific task. It's when your brain is just wandering, daydreaming, and connecting disparate ideas. It's during these periods of doing nothing that some of the most creative breakthroughs happen. Think of it like this. Your conscious, focused mind is like a spotlight, but your default mode network is a wide-angle lens. It's when you're taking a shower or on a walk that you suddenly have a great idea. Hustle culture is actively trying to kill this part of your brain. It tells you that every moment needs to be monetized, optimized, or productive. The result is a brain that's constantly stressed, exhausted, and incapable of true creative thought. You're trading a few extra hours of productivity for the ability to think outside the box. You're basically just running on a hamster wheel, thinking you're going somewhere when you're really just burning yourself out. Number 2, the just 5 more minutes snooze. The snooze button is a modern-day nemesis disguised as a friend. It promises you 5 more minutes of blissful sleep, a brief reprieve from the cold, cruel reality of a morning alarm. But what it's actually doing is a series of tiny assaults on your brain's ability to wake up properly. When your alarm first goes off, your brain starts a complex process to wake you up. It releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to prepare your body for the day. Then you hit the snooze button. Your brain, confused by this sudden silence, thinks, "Oh, false alarm," and starts to go back to sleep. You've basically just told your brain to hit the reset button on its wake-up sequence. 5 minutes later, the alarm goes off again, and your brain is right back where it started, only now it's more groggy and disoriented. This phenomenon is called sleep inertia. The constant back and forth between dozing and being woken up prevents you from getting the deep, restorative sleep your body needs, and it leaves you in a foggy, half-asleep state for a good chunk of your morning. The more you snooze, the worse the sleep inertia gets. It's like you're willingly giving yourself jet lag every single morning. This habit trains your brain that the alarm is not a real threat, that it's just a suggestion. This can make it even harder to wake up the next day, creating a vicious cycle of grogginess. You're basically telling your brain that the most important thing in your life is avoiding the morning, and it's learning to believe you. Number 1, the everything is fine lie. You're stressed, you're overwhelmed, You feel a knot in your stomach every time you think about your to-do list. But when someone asks, "How are you?" you automatically respond with, "I'm fine." This is a perfectly normal social habit, but the disturbing truth is that constantly lying to yourself and others about your stress levels is one of the most damaging things you can do to your brain. Your brain is not stupid. It knows you're not fine. When you ignore your stress, you're creating a disconnect between your conscious mind and your body's physiological reality. Stress is your body's way of telling you that something needs to change, and if you consistently ignore that signal, your body will just turn up the volume. This can lead to chronic stress, which has a long list of negative effects on your brain. It floods your system with cortisol, which, over time, can shrink the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, decision-making, and emotional regulation. It's like you're slowly sanding down the part of your brain that makes you a reasonable human being. By pretending everything is okay, you're not making the problem go away. You're just forcing your brain to deal with it in secret. This can manifest as anxiety, depression, or a general feeling of being overwhelmed without knowing why. You're basically building up a pressure cooker in your head and then pretending it's just a regular pot of water. The scary part is, this habit is so deeply ingrained in our society that we don't even realize we're doing it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.